Hello, today is July 28th, 2016. We're in Vancouver, Canada, attending the World Congress on Computational Intelligence. I'm Don Wunsch, the Mary K. Finley, Missouri Distinguished Professor of Computer Engineering at Missouri University of Science and Technology, and a member of the IEEE Computational Intelligence Society History Committee. And I'm here to interview Ron Yager, professor of Iona College, and last night conferred on him the Rosenblatt Award, which is the highest award given by the IEEE Computational Intelligence Society. He has also previously received from the same society the IEEE Fuzzy Systems Pioneer Award. And of course, he's an IEEE Fellow as well, along with many other honors and distinctions. And so it's my pleasure to have the chance to interview you, Ron. And so thank you for that. Would you start by just telling us a little bit about your educational and professional background?
Well, I guess I got my undergraduate degree in City College of New York in electrical engineering.
Oh, great. Double E. Good.
I was I had a master fellowship to what was then called the Polytechnic Institute of Brooklyn. I'm not sure of the name of it now, but maybe it's the Polytechnic Institute of New York, where I got a PhD in systems science. And subsequent to graduating from there, I worked for. I went to Penn State, and then from Penn State I moved to Iona College.
When did you go to Iona?
I don't remember exactly. Dates I'm going to have trouble giving.
Okay, no problem. Probably in the 70s or something?
Yeah, something like that. I graduated in 68, somewhere like that. They've been there for 35 years, so if we go back with 40 years, so 40 years back.
That'd be 76.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Wow. So you must have started your foray into fuzzy logic right before you made the transition to Iona.
Exactly. It's very interesting. Right. As a matter of fact, there was a guy at my school I was sort of not so focused on research, and there was a guy in my school that was interested in research at Penn State. This is Penn State, not the real Penn State, but this is a Penn State in Middletown. And somehow I meandered into the library, and I came across the IEEE transactions on systems and cybernetics, which has Lotfi Zadi's article, which I think a lot of people read as their first article, approach to. I don't remember the exact name of it, but I read this article and just, wow.
Yeah.
I could do with this.
Yeah, last night one of the two people you acknowledged was Lotfi Zadeh in your acceptance speech. Yeah,
of course. I mean, I'm very indebted to Lotfi because I think that Lotfi provided the tools with which I could really, express myself. So he's always been supportive of me.
Did you meet him fairly early after that, or did it take a while before you actually met him in person?
That's interesting. Well, I guess I met him. He was giving a talk somehow. I published a paper, I think. And I met him. He was in Philadelphia. He was giving a talk at some conference in Philadelphia, and I went down there to hear him talk. From New York to Philadelphia.
Not too far.
Yeah, I went down to hear him talk, and
Good.
So, yeah.
Did you guys ever collaborate?
Well, on a couple of things, but not papers. We did books together, and we did a couple of books together. Lotfi tends not to collaborate with people, I think, as a general rule. He tends to be a lone writer. I think you yourself are aware of that.
Okay.
We did books together. We've collaborated since then. I've been relatively close with him, and good personal relationship.
Yeah, good. So you do have a book that you mentioned to me during this conference with Dimitar Filev.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that one?
Yeah. Well, let's see. Now what happened was at some point, I guess this is when the European was kind of the Eastern Europe was opening up. So somehow, got somehow. I don't remember. I just see the end result, the output of the system. He came to the United States as a visitor, and he went to spend some time in a few schools. I know he spent time with George Clear and SUNY Binghamton, and then he came to New York, and we hit it off quite well. And he ended up I managed to get him a position there.
Mm-hmm.
So he got a position there, and we were writing papers together for a number of years. And I guess Philo was he was more directed to getting the book, to doing a book.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a lot of stuff. We did a lot of stuff over the years, and we put together a book. That was the book with Philo, right?
Great. Yeah. After you mentioned it, I ordered actually a few copies on Amazon so that I'd have.
Good. I think it's quite a nice. It was quite a nice book. I think.
Good. And in that book you talk about OWA.
In part, right.
Okay. Would you elaborate on that a little bit and how that idea came about
It's interesting. It actually came about. I have to think about it a little bit more carefully because these things aren't clear yet.
It stands for Ordered
Weighted Averaging Operator.
Okay.
Ordered Weighted Averaging Operator. Well, before that, by the way, introduced a family of what they call Yager norms, Yager T norms and co norms.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was there was some work on
So T norms is a generalization of the fuzzy and
of the T norms is the default and. The default and
okay.
is a min.
Okay.
Whereas the min is the default and the max is the default or.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said in my talk, to have the basic properties is one. The and basically as one is the normal element. So one or anything is anything, and the or is zero or anything is the or. And so there was some work in fuzzy sets on getting generalizing these things. So I introduced what they call the Yager class of operators. And then subsequent to that, the mathematicians came along and organized everything with this T norms and co norms. So that became a little bit, just a special case of this general stuff.
Good.
And then the hour operators basically came along a little bit later. It had to do with with basically the probability of a fuzzy set. It has to do. Came about with. The probability of a fuzzy set is an interesting issue, and the count of a fuzzy set. Basically, how many half-wits make a whole wit? You know what I mean? So it was related to that, and somehow I got the idea of doing this type of aggregation operator, and I remember, and that's where that came about. I don't remember the exact detail of where it.
Yeah, so ordering, I find that fascinating for a number of reasons. Ordering makes a lot of difference in a neural net because you can impose an order so that you can have weights go in various ways. But,
right.
But of course, you had the ordering in mind for your own reasons, independent of any specific application.
Yeah, that's right. But I think ordering. I recently began thinking about ordering again. Ordering is a very interesting type of nonlinearity. It gives us a lot of power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sure does.
Yeah, it gives us a lot of power ordering, and so yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we're kind of moving around a little bit, but I'd like to back up a little bit, and in fact back up a lot. As far back as you can remember, what got you interested in going into a career in science, engineering, etc.?
Well, that's interesting. Actually, I guess I really hadn't thought of it. I wasn't sort of scientifically oriented. I was sort of a guy that liked to play basketball, and and then what happened? The Sputnik came. I guess I'm a little older than you.
Yeah, I was born after Sputnik. I was born in '61. That Sputnik was '59.
Yeah, so Sputnik came. So engineering, I never even thought about engineering, and engineering became like a focus of became more of a thing that people. And so I got to engineering, I guess. So I went to City College, electrical engineering at City College.
Cool.
Yeah. And, that was a good school at that point.
Oh yeah. And so so it's not until the 70s that the influence of Lotfi Zada, but any other early influences, early mentors, early inspirations when you were pursuing that direction?
Not really.
Not really. You just did your homework.
I did my homework.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. I was always good in mathematics.
Oh, good. Good.
And I enjoyed mathematics and just did my homework.
Yeah. Do your homework, students. It
That's
can
right.
lead to great things.
That's
yeah.
right. Exactly.
So that's
exactly.
Yeah. Good. Good.
Exactly.
Good. Well, and so, then, as you started developing these theories, did you encounter some resistance, or?
That's interesting. Of course, early in Fuzzy Sets, there was a lot of people in resistance, and I really wasn't focused on a career. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I was doing that because I liked it. I was writing papers, and it was fun writing papers, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. I didn't really care. You know, I wasn't so interested in that kind of stuff. I just enjoyed writing papers, and it was
great.
Nice. That was the thing for me.
Yeah. So do what you love. Yeah.
That's right. Exactly. I just enjoyed it.
Well, and speaking of love, you acknowledged one other person during your talk last night. That was Rachel.
Yeah.
So how did you two meet?
Actually, we met at a NATO workshop, in Turkey, a number of years later.
Oh, great.
And she was a student there from France.
Oh, wonderful.
And so we kind of, yeah.
Yeah, so she's a PhD also,
Right,
and,
she's a PhD in
and
India, right.
a very technological person in her
Right,
own right.
you can see that, right,
So,
yeah.
that's so you're there are some other people who've been interviewed in this series who also married a technologically oriented spouse.
I see,
so
that's
that's great. So now, as you think about the work that you do and the society, and it's a great time to be talking about this because here we are at its flagship conference. The World Congress on Computational Intelligence is a confluence of 3 conferences together, and so it's a great time to think about where the field has come and where it's going. And so, do you see any convergence of technologies or any new entrants or any breakthroughs that you find particularly inspiring?
Well, let me just back up a little bit. I'll answer that question. We're coming from, Fuzzy Sets was very hard at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It was quite, again, not as much for me as because I was just doing what I liked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Other people complaining that had stuff at the universities. I wasn't a big university, so I didn't have pressure on me to do anything. You understand?
Yeah.
And so, but there was a lot of, I remember we go to conferences with 10 people, 5 people. I think I said that, with 10 people in the room, and then, and that was it. So it was very, very. They weren't very successful, the whole field. You know that. I mean, and I remember Zadi was extremely persistent. He kept on going and going and going.
Mm-hmm.
He always said that he has a very thick skin.
Good.
Yeah, and where I think that a lot of these ideas were developed and some of them were premature.
Mm-hmm.
I remember some of them were quite premature.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I went about a number of years ago. I went to some marketing company and made a presentation to them about and what happens it turns out that this is what's going on now. You understand?
Yeah, yeah.
But that was too much presentation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now I think what is interesting is, of course, is the confluence, and this is, I guess, to get to your question. Computation intelligence and
Mm-hmm.
computation intelligence, the stuff that we're dealing with in this conference, in this whole field, is becoming mainstream in America. I mean, this is really this is what America is selling,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the most one of the most important things going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
We may not be Amazon, but we are the guys that are building the stuff that Amazon is using in some sense. Our
That's
idea,
right.
our approaches. So what's going to happen is that I think this whole idea is very important. This kind of confluence of what we're doing and what's going on in the internet and it's very, very important, but a little bit scary.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit scary. And what scares me a little bit is the mining of you. I mean,
Right.
They have you on the internet. No, I'm just pointing
Yeah,
at the computer. On the
this will
internet,
be
they
on
have
the
a model of
internet
you.
within a few days.
They have but they have a model of you. Everything you do now is recorded.
Yeah.
Everything you do, and some guys like us who are a little bit better in data mining are taking all this stuff and putting it together and building a model of you. I remember, I go to Amazon and I forget what I looked up something or other, and then I had some website I went to after that, which right away I see an advertising to me of that thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure
Exactly. I've seen that happen
it
many
scares
times.
me.
Yeah. Yeah. They really they're. And it's not just Amazon. A lot of different things it'll give you that they start to show you what they think you want to see.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what and of course I wrote a paper a number of years ago on which I foresaw was a paper which appeared in the I don't remember IEEE transaction IEEE. There's a thing called computational intelligence. You ever seen a magazine, Computational?
Sure.
Which appeared in that magazine many years ago, and I foresaw that marketing would be a big thing,
Mm-hmm.
and that what would happen is that, and my idea in the paper was to use fuzzy systems modeling to advertise to you. So they, you get on the website, and then they put a picture on the thing. Of course, this was exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Do you remember roughly the title of the paper?
Yeah, you could add a marketing approach to advertising on the web, something like that. You could ask me, ask me, and I'll give you the information. This is a very early paper.
It won't be hard to find.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was, it was very, and I saw that was happening. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it scares me now. Of course, there's nothing we can do about it. This is it. I mean,
it's here.
It's here, and it's going to go on and on and on. The question is that one day you're going to have to fight your own model. You're going to do something and say, no, you can't do that. That's not. We don't have you. This is not you. You understand? I mean, they already have a model of you, and they're making it more and more.
Or the other way around too. The model, they keep wanting to give you something that's in the model, and you go, no, that ain't me.
That's right.
So,
that's what you're gonna have to do. You have to fight it almost.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that would make a great movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's very scary what's going on to some extent. I mean.
Yeah. Right now the models are crude, but someday they won't.
Of course, they're gonna get much better.
Yeah, they won't stay crude, and also we will. There will be times when we want to defer to the model. I might defer to the model, like to let my self-driving car decide when to fill up with gas.
Right.
And that I maybe don't like to let it get below a half tank. Somebody else wants it to be down to 1/8 of a tank before they fill up. And all these preferences that go into the model, and you find it easier to just defer. For example, pay your bills automatically online. I'd rather pay all my bills automatically online, but that's part of the model, right? You always want to pay your cellular bill and your internet bill automatically on this day of the month.
Yeah.
But then that's part of the model, right? So you can imagine that for convenience we defer.
Yeah.
But then, as the model gets more sophisticated, we may have to seize back some things that we thought we were deferring to that we liked, but aren't what we thought we were doing.
Exactly. I mean, I'm still do things by, I don't trust the computer 100%. You know what I mean? I don't trust the computer 100%. I like things pencil and paper, write down.
That's right.
It can't be. The other week I had my hard disk drive went.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh boy, it was a disaster before I came here. I was, it was hard to make my presentation.
Well, you certainly made a great one. So, what about maybe next breakthroughs? So, what do you think is on the horizon?
I don't really. I can't say. What I think. Well, I guess I could just say some things that kind of whatever I think, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that evolution is a very interesting topic.
Right.
And I think that the unique thing about, what's unique about humans? I think the unique thing about humans is that we're going to play a role in our own evolution.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to play a role in our own evolution. And I think right now I see there's a number of paths of evolution competing with each other. And the first path is, of course, robotics is a form of evolution.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So robotics is one direction of evolution. There's no question about that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Computing and evolution.
Mm-hmm.
Computers have certain advantages over us, and you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
And we, and more and more we're giving them everything we know. This is one thing. A second evolutionary path is it calls all this stuff with DNA.
Right.
That's another way we're going to evolve. Is that they're going to make some new person that.
Add something in or suppress the expression of a gene.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. I mean, that's an evolutionary form.
Yeah.
And another way, I think, was an interesting way, is sort of a man-machine symbiosis.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's right. Definitely.
Now, so that means...
Yeah, so we both have glasses. That's already a man-machine symbiosis,
right,
but it's come very far forward from that day. Some people have cochlear implants.
That's right.
Yeah. That nails it.
Now, I think what is in this direction, what's an interesting problem, that if you want to think, the most interesting problem is how our brain is going to be able to interact directly with the computer to search for information. Somehow, I'm going to be able to, connect with the brain with some sort of digital device mentally and get information.
And that's already happening. You have somebody that got their arm blown off in Iraq, and now they can control the artificial hand with just their brain waves because there's something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's I guess a step in that. Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about just getting information.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's definitely going to be some amazing breakthroughs on the horizon, and our field is going to be making important contributions to them. Now, speaking of our field, what do you feel the impact of the IEEE in general and the professional societies that you participate in have been for your career?
Well, the IEEE is, of course, an important society. It's grown very, very pervasive and very, very grown international. When I was a kid, the IEEE, when I went to school, the IEEE was on 47th Street. I come from New York City. I live in 47th Street between 1st and 2nd Avenue. There was an IEEE headquarters was there. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know.
Yeah, it was an IEEE building, and they had a great library.
Oh wow.
So I used to, as a kid, I used to sometimes go, when I was a college student, I used to go to their library, and it was really good. And that was my first encounter with the IEEE. Of course, now they moved to Piscataway in New Jersey, and they're a huge organization. But I think the internationalization of the IEEE is very, very big, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And, we see people from all over the world.
Yeah. It's amazing coming here. They showed maybe, I don't know, the top 25 countries that were contributing attendees to this conference.
And it was China, of course.
And China was not always coming in first, but this year China came in first.
Well, they'll come in first in the future, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, so the chance to meet international colleagues, and for both of us, that has resulted in personal advantages as well as professional advantages, and then the chance to encounter good scholarship in your early days physically, and now with IEEE Explore, and there's 3 million articles.
That's right. It's very easy to get anything you want.
Yeah.
I don't have to leave my house. Everything's on the internet.
Yeah.
You never have to go to school even, really.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you can get, and if you can't get it, you can write an email to the guy to say, send me your article. So this is, I think there's sort of tremendous amount of information available. It's just incomprehensible how much information is available now, and how fast information disseminates now. You write a paper, and now, a week later, 20 people have written papers on some topic, on the paper.
Yeah.
And you say, wait a minute, I was going to do something else. It's gone.
Yeah. It really is an incredible development to be able to do that type of thing. Well, so this is a history interview, so there may be people looking at this sometime in the future, but one group that tends to like to watch these videos is students. Even now, I've noticed that students are particularly eager to watch the videos, and so a lot of the hits will be from students. So what kind of course we already talked about do your homework, you know, and take advantage of this international community and the availability of ideas, but any other comments, advice for students or future researchers in the field? They don't have to be for students, whatever career stage that they're in.
I mean, for me, it's always been enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the fun. I mean, the whole, you know, years ago there was this whole thing, you know, the experience is what matters, you know, not the results.
Right.
You know, be here now sort of mentality. The idea that, you know, the process of writing the paper and the process, this is really what the fun is. The fun is really writing the paper, having the idea kind of go through your head and bounce around and deal around in your head and look at it. This is what fun is, you know. And I know people are very much focused on you know, I guess, what am I going to, how's it going to advance my career and stuff like that. As I said, I was never very career oriented in that sense, you know. But let me say something about the history of the field. I think I'd like, you know, it's very interesting because, you know, this goes back, fuzzy sets. You know, I remember, I'll never forget one time I was in a conference at Austin. You know Austin Tim's conferences? Well, Austin Tim's have conferences, and they have these conferences where they have there's no publication. No publication. They have maybe 20 sessions, parallel sessions, and that's it. You know, it's a very, and I remember one time there was a conference in Florida, an Austin Tim's conference, and Latvizadi came down there. He arrived at, you know, the session began, I think, 10 o'clock. At 9:30 he arrived to give a talk to 10 people. Yeah, this is what 10 people. And then the session ended about 12 o'clock. You know, we went out to have lunch, and then after that he went back to Florida. He put so much effort into this field. He put so much effort into this field. You know, there was a very, very.
So he came all the way from Berkeley to Florida
all the way to Berkeley
speak to these 10 people.
That's right, all the way to Berkeley.
Wow, that's amazing. That's great.
To speak to 10 people, and then he went back. You know, I mean, he did things like that. He used to fly down to Australia for one day. You know, so. I mean, Latvia was an extremely dedicated guy. You know, he worked. It was very, very difficult. The success of Fuzzy Set didn't come easy. Didn't come easy, you know, and of course now we see the big community. You go to thousands of people, and you know, coming to a conference. So it's a big step. It's a big step from, you know, and you weren't getting people coming into the field because, you know, it wasn't that popular. You know, it wasn't that well known. You know, and you know, to me it didn't matter.
Right.
So I didn't care. I just did what I wanted, what I liked doing.
Yeah.
And I was lucky that, you know, I was lucky, but I did what I liked doing.
Yeah, you do what you love, and the results come from there. So, great. Well, do you have any final remarks? Other comments, closing thoughts?
Well, I think what you're doing is a very good thing. I think this is an interesting, good thing to get a history of the field, to see, you know, how it developed, to talk to people, to get a perspective of the people. And I think it's quite interesting. It's a good idea, and you know, I think it's a good historical record, because I think, you know, 10 years from now the world's going to be different.
Yep.
You know,
and we want these archived. I'm very much hoping that people will be watching these centuries from now.
Where are you going to put them on the internet, or?
Yeah, the history committee will put them on the internet, so it'll be on the internet.
YouTube
in a few days.
or this?
There'll be YouTubes. Yeah. So, hi there, YouTube folks. Subscribe to this channel, and you'll see more like this. So, well, thank you so much,
very
Ron.
much. Very good. Thank you. Very good. Thank you. I hope that